I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We are AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we are starting a new part of a show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure what we're doing.
What's happening?
So we finished Steins Gate a little bit ago,
Or
right?
so we thought.
Or so we thought. We are going to be picking up with Steins Gate 0. I am very nervous because I didn't know and don't know what this is, but Steins Gate, like, start to finish, obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I know a little bit of, like, the order of what we're going to be watching today. But other than that, I don't know anything else. So I don't really know what to expect other than the little bit of information I was given to set us up to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm a little reluctant because it's like, oh, I loved it as this perfect thing, and I'm scared that what will be added.
I was starting to try to create a package, a present that had already been wrapped, and the bow was tied, and it was done. It was a finished piece. That's how it had felt to me, and so I'm a little bit in a state of confusion.
But I'm also optimistic
anticipation,
because whereas I thought I had a present with a bow on it, all I actually had was a present that was wrapped, and then the OVA we watched was the bow on top, because Suzuha's mom, potentially, and everything else. So this could be another, oh, I had a present, but now I have more presents, and more presents are better than one.
Yeah, that is true.
That is very
Especially
true.
if they're at the same quality of present.
So, what we are going to be watching today is something called Steins Gate 23B, as well as the first episode of Steins Gate 0.
Okay.
Now, the information that I know is that in Steins Gate episode 23, we are given a bit of story, and about halfway through that episode is where this episode diverges. So it's the first half is identical of episode 23, but at a certain point it changes direction and different things start to occur. That I don't know what those things are, but that is my understanding. So I've been given a timestamp of about 5 minutes from episode 23 that we've already watched, and then we'll stop there just to refresh ourselves, and then start on 23B about the same amount of time before, so we can notice when that change is going to happen.
Okay. So what you're telling me is I am playing an Otome visual novel game, and there were two choices, and I possibly, in my next playthrough, chose to choose the other one, and now the story's different.
Yeah,
cool.
Exactly. So full length, if you're watching this, is going to start once we are watching 23B. Cool?
Okay.
Cool. Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. So this is when we go back to our timeline, right? Our world line, and we're given the message by our future selves on the phone, I believe, right?
That he had to go through this.
Yeah.
He had to.
All right. And that's 18 minutes. Cool. So that should give us a good refresher, I feel, to start 23B. Cool?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like since we know it's going to be different, it has to be just not getting the message, right?
He's not able to see the message from himself. He decides to not watch it.
I imagine that Suzuha, from what we've seen, there was a plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the same.
Mayuri might not slap him.
Wow.
So is it based on Mayuri's actions?
But also there's no message from the phone, right? About check the news. This feels so weird, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. There was no text message.
So just a world without Makise Kurisu?
Mm.
Thought it was over. This is like the Snyder cut. This is so interesting.
Mm. When that released,
Yeah.
the feeling was like physical.
That's an outfit change.
Is he dropping Mad? He's like dropped Mad Scientist? Did he shave?
Yeah.
It's like just barely stubble.
Wow.
He's like trying to move on with his life from all of that.
Wow.
Mm. He's rejected being there.
What do you think happiness is in this route?
I don't know.
Interesting.
Kurisu, is she not going to be in the outro, or is she?
I'm kind
That
of
would be
wanting
interesting,
to,
right?
Yeah.
If it's her at the end.
I can honestly say I have never felt this way about any anime or TV show ever. Like, this is such a unique, like, place to be in.
The experience. The paper was rejected by academia.
Yeah.
And we didn't get any text messages or alerts to the news. No mention of an arms race
Yeah.
for the time machine. So does that mean a peaceful future is available if Kurisu dies? Is that what we're getting?
I don't think so. I think, like, after we'll talk about it after.
Okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm just like so ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's the same.
Still 45 seconds.
Is it just like a video of her?
What? Okay, so that was the second half of Steins Gate 0, Episode 0, 23B, Divide by 0.
I honestly wish more shows would do something like this, because what I'm feeling right now is like super exciting.
Well,
But it's probably like dangerous territory to tread into, to like
Yeah.
open up other possibilities or other options.
It's a little unsettling to me.
Do you remember when like what if series were like coming out and people were like really, a lot of people, it was like
What,
kind of
like Marvel?
contentious for, yeah, like didn't Marvel do like what
Mhm.
if?
Yeah.
I feel like some other franchises have done what if series, and I think that the whole idea of it is so interesting. Like, what if this person got this weapon or this armor or
Yeah.
got this superpower instead of this person?
So, like, with Marvel, it's a pretty interesting and easy route to go because without getting like too into the specifics about it, you're able to write like very short contained stories of
Mhm.
what if. And like, sure, if you want to do anything like combining them later, that's one thing. But what I'm getting at is that this does not seem like that's the case. This seems like it's an alternate route.
Mhm.
You
But
know?
what if was already built into the framework of
Yeah.
an idea with different world lines and time machines? Like, it was always the case that we could have been peeking in on one world line specifically for a majority of the story.
Yeah. So what I assumed this show or this series to be, and what it seemed like to me it was the first half of this, I don't feel as confident about now. Okay, so difference is he doesn't get the phone call, right? Or like the text about
He
check
doesn't
the
get
news.
the initial text message about checking the news, and then he isn't told by Suzuha that he could now view the video.
Yeah.
And also, like, this Mayuri's personality toward Okabe in that exchange is different.
So my initial my initial jump to conclusion was that, okay, well, we know that in the episode and story we already watched and got to see play out, where that video did occur in, it was from a future Kiyoma.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, there's a spider. Okay, so that there was a future Kiyoma who, you know, took the initiative to send back this message after realizing that, okay, there is a way. You have to make sure it happens.
I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try to have hope and find a way.
Yeah.
And,
so
yeah.
Okay, logically, then I would assume this is the path where we end up being the Kiyoma who sends that message back. Or at least that's how I felt before the end of this episode.
Really?
Where I don't know anymore. Like, it's like, I don't know.
Okay, so they did have us kind of get to the outro credit sequence with a different kind of personality, or not different personality, but he was in a different headspace. It was obvious that he was avoidant of thinking too much about the past, even like discarding his mad scientist ways in his lab coat, and even the lab.
Yeah.
Like, not even going back there. He's going on group dates. He's going to college. He is away. Mayuri's like, I rarely see him. He has tried his best to, like, distance himself. And then at the end, some video, somehow, is it like someone used her likeness for AI and he feels like he's talking to her? Is it a video of her from before she died? Because, like, she was an academic. There could totally be a video of her. But anyway, something happens to that Kiyoma, I think, for that after credit, for him to, like, decide he wants to go back to the lab because we got Mayuri bringing up, can you please come back to the lab?
Yeah.
And he's like, I guess.
And like, an interesting point that I think is worth, like, talking about a little bit before we get into the next, like, part of this is, like, Mayuri's potential growth. Because obviously, like, the Mayuri willing to slap Kiyoma was much different than the Mayuri we saw at the in this, right? And I wonder, like, we're shown that Mayuri has, just like Kurisu and other people, these dreams of other world lines. Is this series going to influence the Mayuri we saw make the decision to slap Kiyoma? You know what I mean? Because right now, she seems somewhat happy to even, like, you know, see Kiyoma and, like, the way he is right now. Is, like, by the end of this series, is she going to get to the point of being like, no, fuck this, we need the other Kiyoma, and that, like, place in mind is where she's going to be at in the episode we already saw, where she decides to slap him?
I feel like that wouldn't necessarily be possible because Kiyoma's the only character that has the ability to observe the world, that I couldn't think that a future for some other character could go back and affect their past, or something that they do in the past. I am thinking that the major difference for Mayuri was that, I guess if you were thinking of it as, like, what if, when Mayuri chooses to slap Okabe, it is after what? Learning that the time that Kurisu's father's defected? Is it after the turn the news on? Like, I want to, like, kind of break down what is the leading up moments, other than the fact that Okabe is really talking about giving up.
Yeah.
Because there's something else there other than him being, like, crumpled up on the floor wanting to give up, because obviously we get that. And then she comes to his defense when Suzuha jumps in. Is it really just Suzuha being the, like, microaggressor there, the one that, like, kind of comes in to try to slap him or try to make him not give up? That is the reason Mayuri...
Him saying, I'm tired, I've had enough, was enough for Mayuri to instigate it. And he said the same kind of thing in this iteration of it, but she didn't do it. And instead, Suzuha tried to step in to do it, and then she was protective of him.
Is that the issue then? Is it because Suzuha steps in and because Mayuri, by her nature, is automatically going to want to be defensive of Okabe? It could be that she was thinking the things that she says after she slaps him in this new version. But once she sees that someone else is like trying to
That's
force
an interesting
him,
point.
because especially because if you think about it, in Mayuri's mind, the person that would be forcing Okabe to do this is Suzuha, the person that came from the future with the time machine being like, it's you. That's so much pressure. But Mayuri probably, in the scene where she slaps him, coming from her, the friend, the support, the one that has no connection to any of this, isn't forcing anything on him. She's not saying, what the fuck, you have to do this because you have to save everyone. She's like, you wouldn't give up.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably just that Suzuha acts
or
first.
Suzuha stepped in because something else didn't happen, you know? I don't know. I'm interested to see the college life of Ocarina.
All these group dates?
Yeah. All right.
Oof.
You want to get into it?
Yeah.
Sweet. What?
Like after the war?
Big sis Mayu. What?
And that was her from the end of 23B.
Right?
Reached out the hand like she does up the sky, but instead slapped him?
Yeah. Holy shit.
So this Mayuri blames herself. And now we're back in time.
What was with like the little Kurisu?
I don't know.
Of course it's red. Is he like seeking therapy? Which I'd understand. Hypnotherapy.
Is this newer than Steins Gate?
I don't know.
Almost crisper.
God.
So he's like avoidant of all his old stomping grounds.
Which, like, I'd understand coming from what he's been through, right? Trying to not associate with it, to dissociate with it.
But also seeing Ferris and Ruka is going to bring up feelings of guilt and blame, too. How long has it been?
There's no end. It's a start. There was writing under there.
I know. Oh, should we read it?
I want to.
Might be a trap. It's so cool seeing Ruka in like plain clothes.
Right?
Like, actually, it's so cool.
I love the little clip. The dark past. It's pretty sad to see him like this, you know?
Where's the spark?
Look at Mayuri's reaction.
Club? You'd think,
Yes?
but no.
Damn
Tennis! Why is it always tennis? That would be an interesting world line.
Right? God.
His eyes just looked so tired all of a
Right?
sudden.
It just snapped.
So Suzuha stayed.
Yeah, she had to, I guess.
Oh my gosh. She looks like a badass.
Right.
She already did, but
Invisibility.
so she's still trying to make the future happen.
Yeah.
Like, fix it.
Aw.
I believe it.
One time he hasn't come back?
He's back. But say it creepier. He's back.
What?
That would make sense. They would be friends. Okay, good. I felt bad for Suzuha there.
Right?
But also, like, she's not in love with Daru.
This is so... This feels so weird.
So weird. He's gonna go anyway.
I cannot believe that this is happening. I don't know how to feel. I don't know what to think. Ah, the roof.
It's like tracksuit inspired, but like, oh.
Wow. It's just like Yamada-kun.
It's possible. Might even think you feel like a sister to her.
Probably just needs to be a few, like, foundational things laid out.
Oh my god, if we have a Suzuha disappearing episode, we know why.
I will die.
Oh my god. Is she scared of, like, airplanes?
Remember, we had early on in
yeah.
the series, yeah. Wow. Jesus Christ. The guilt.
Toy with everyone's fate.
Never ends. Can't just tamper. Oh my god.
We'll get punished.
This is gonna be a tense series.
Mm-hmm. Don't scare me like that.
They know what they're doing.
She's on it. Okay, we're good.
They're very blunt.
It's unsettling. It's like he's not just stitching Kurisu, he's stitching all of them.
I'd imagine, like, that's the day that you lost, you know, Kyoma. I never thought I'd see him in this atmosphere. Jesus Christ. HIYA Maho.
This is 89. Her shoes are different. She's a true academic. Let her in. Her shoes are different.
She has main character energy.
I know.
I love her eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of Kurisu energy too, right?
That's very true that he would say that.
Oh, fuck.
No way Kurisu's gonna be on that big screen in there.
She is much shorter than I even thought she was.
Assistant. He's using her as AI. 100%.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
No, no, no! No! 100% no. Nope.
Amadeus. Bro cannot escape, dude.
He really can't. He did say the word fate in this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe true love is fated.
Well, then you're just getting into, like, the talk of, like, can AI feel love, right?
Mm-hmm.
How real is that, more or less?
Would she agree with something like this being made in her likeness if that is the case?
I don't fucking know, dude. Of course it's AI, too.
I know, I'm like...
Okay, that was Steins Gate 0, Episode 1. Okay. Right off the bat, I am confused on the matters of Suzuha's mother.
Yes, Amane.
Because Amane in this looks very different from the person that we got in the OVA where they went to America.
That was almost subtly hinted at being...
Not even subtly.
Not even subtly.
Yeah.
We have Daru sneezing about being talked about. We have a fortune teller saying in 7 years.
But they have different colored eyes, it looks like. This one has blue eyes.
And then the OVA was like green eyes like Suzuha's.
Yeah.
And then the hair color is slightly darker in the OVA.
Interesting.
And it's short, obviously. But
yeah.
I mean, hair can be cut. But like eye color and hair color being changed.
I definitely did not expect this to be in the route that we're going. I guess it makes sense, right? I initially, when hearing about the existence of a thing like Steins Gate Zero, I didn't even expect a time skip, to be honest with you. I always expect a time skip. I'm always like, oh, gonna be a time skip. 2 episodes into a new show, time skip. Not for Steins Gate Zero, and there was. Years passed.
I appreciate it. I feel like it's good for the viewer. I feel like any more that was like in that same what we said about like Steins Gate feeling like it was this wrapped up present, like it was this finished package. I feel like any amount of more time spent in that current time period and place that Kiyoma was in and Okabe was in by the end of that season, that show, I think would have been too much to continue with. And I feel like showing us this new future Okabe and how he's cast off Kiyoma and everything that came with it, all the friends that Kiyoma made, the mad scientist made, and the place the mad scientist hung out in. And I think that this is so much more refreshing. Like, we're still getting to enjoy the story and the same characters, but we're getting like refreshed.
It feels like a different chapter,
instead of just like having us still in that same
PS, or epilogue
place of feeling so traumatized.
Well, man, I feel fucking awful for Ocarine here, man. Like, okay, what do you do, right? Because this happens to you, you don't see any solutions. You've decided that, like, you can't do anything else. You've been, and which is a very understandable place to be at, considering how much this dude has been through. That fucking vision of Kurisu, like, melting in front of him was traumatizing. And that's only an ounce of what he's been through. And his response to get away from it is to try to move on and put himself in an environment that doesn't remind him of all the trauma that he's been in. And by doing so, you are directly making people that you love unhappy. And and you have somebody like Mayuri who is like asking and pleading for you to come back to the lab. It's like, you don't want to make her think that you just don't want anything to deal with her.
Especially with all those years of what felt like years, but was really just a couple days of trying to keep her alive. Like, all of that time, all of the repeated time that probably ended up being like a year.
I'm pretty sure she's the one who suggested that he went to hypnotherapy too. And like, I don't know. Like,
she's trying to help him.
I feel so bad for him, man.
Trying to support him. There's this idea of Okabe said the line, like, toying with everyone's fate. That's what he felt like he was doing all of that time that he was changing people's kind of futures and what world line we were on, why there was hesitation to want to see Ferris and Ruka again, because of like knowing that he did toy with their fate and toy with their emotions by giving them the opportunity to change something about themselves that they really wanted to change and then ripping that away from them.
Yeah.
And what we're getting here by the end of it, this fact of like, can I not escape Kurisu? Like, he's trying so hard to run away from it, thinking that he was running toward the time machine and toward, changing the future, when really it's almost seeming like the future is following him. Time machine is following him.
Yeah.
Changing the future is following him. Like, it is something he is fated to do.
He can't escape it.
He can't escape it. Even when he completely removes himself from all ideas of it, all people, all things tied to it, resigns himself to this feeling of not wanting to change the future, believing it is not in his power for one person to do and something that he shouldn't be doing, and it's still chasing after him.
Yeah. Man, seeing the opening here, what we talked about after watching 23B a little bit ago, I feel like Mayuri looking back and like having the whole, well, what if I raised my hand to the sky there, like, line. I didn't expect to see how much of awareness of regret that she might have. She's so aware that things could be totally different if she might have done something. And granted, it wasn't just Mayuri, right? It was that paired with Suzuha, paired with the phone like buzzing. But it's just it's so interesting to see.
He was in this scene that I think that you're more directly talking about is when we come to meet Ruka and Ferris,
Mm-hmm.
and they call him Kiyoma, or at least Ferris does upon seeing him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh no, that's not me." And the shots that we get of Mayuri's reaction to Okabe, like really like verbally distancing himself from like who he was in just his fun personality, this caricature he created, something that has been that way since I believe probably they were kids and they really like their friendship really started.
Yeah. If this does like amount and end up in the place where he is sending that message, right, that we already got, it would mean so much more when Kiyoma was like acknowledging that he was still like that. You know, like, oh, you're still doing that after all these years kind of thing in the future. Because the thought of like that being the response to seeing the video, but what they lacked is the information that he wasn't just like that all those years. He
tried to
change
get rid of
completely.
Who he was.
Yeah, and it's a returning to that character that saved the world. And I wonder if that is the route we're going down, because I think that'd be really fucking cool.
We got language from Mayuri on the train that was like, oh, so you're like a real normal now, or something like that. But like, yes, it was a caricature and it was this real dynamic personality that we were first introduced to in Steins Gate. But I think that after not even one episode, maybe a couple episodes in, it was very evident to the viewer that this wasn't just him putting on this character. It was a fun that he had. It was a personality. It was a coping mechanism. It was so much and so integrated into who he actually is.
Yeah. Who was the little redheaded girl in the flat from the future? It looked like Kurisu, right? I mean, obviously, like, I feel like that's what they want me to like feel.
You know what? Is this the same world line that AI Kurisu's getting introduced into?
Maybe.
Where it's a robotic AI Kurisu child.
Yeah, that's fucked up. I hope not.
They are recreating her. You know, if she was like this top scientist that Suzuha in the first world line wanted to come back and stop because Kurisu was like the mother of the time machine.
Yeah.
Wouldn't someone want to get their hands on that brilliant mind if put into this AI program?
That's true.
And try to almost recreate her into life to use that mind?
That's true.
Oh, so messed up though.
I can't read all of what's under the Steins Gate Zero logo. There's no end, though. There is. Can you read it?
Well, once it gets overlaid on top of the black zero, it gets a little funky. There's no end through there. Is start in space.
Maybe we'll zoom
Fulfilling?
in. Fulfilling?
I don't even know if it's a size issue. It's more just like the overlay with the it's
I don't have my glasses either.
It's like black text with a white outline over top of this black circle, but sometimes white.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Huh. All right. My last kind of note of this episode is like you mentioned it. Well, okay. My last note, other than Maho, who you can tell the character writing in the show is so good, because right when I saw her and they did like the shot from behind showing her shoes that were incorrect, I was like, I guarantee you if Daru was here, he'd make a lolly comment. And that's exactly what Kiyoma said. Like after that, I was like, oh my God, I love it. And
it shows, you know what that comment also shows is that Okabe can't actually cast off his friendships and his understanding of his friends. And if anything, he might start to understand the looks that his friends might be giving him.
Yeah.
He probably knows how all of them are worried about him, or all of them view him.
That's true. But what do you do with it? I mean, he's trying hypnotherapy and everything. But he's
trying to be okay.
How long after Steins Gate do you think that this was created?
Wasn't he 18? Wasn't he 18 in Steins Gate? Yeah. Oh, do you mean time of like creating the animation?
Animation. I'm not going to look at Steins Gate 0, but Steins Gate, it says, without looking too much into it, it says 2010, 2011. Right?
Yeah.
So if it was created in 2011, when do you think Zero was created?
Like the next year or two.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
I'd
think
say
it's very,
a
very
couple
similar,
years.
but I almost feel like the line art is a little crisper or darker.
Yeah.
There's like this much which could have been totally on purpose for the original series, this kind of like finish that's over top of it.
Mm.
This almost static
Like
kind
grainy.
of it's also very bright. Like the blacks aren't like a true black.
Yeah.
They're like a gray.
Hmm.
Which could have been stylistic choice.
Maho Hiajo.
Mm-hmm.
Lover.
I'm excited by this character, but I'm also scared by
Dude.
what this character is apparently doing with Kurisu.
Yeah,
So,
like fucking he needed more torture in his life.
Yeah, that honestly, that's
Yeah.
bad. This is bad. I don't want to be
I don't
him
know,
right
dude.
now.
It's a weird feeling. I'm kind of like at a loss for words a bit because I've never watched anything like this. I feel like I have to be like in a place like, okay, well, let's see where it goes, you know?
I think they already kind of told us at least where this is going to go, where this episode went by the end of 23B.
Yeah.
So.
All right. You good?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We hope to see you next time.